have some great panelists for you today that will explain to you a little bit more about what Recycle by Design Team Challenge, what that is, and what the hackathon is, the Michigan Innovation Hackathon, Recycling Innovation Hackathon, and then how the hackathon will inform the Recycle by Design Challenge to help Michigan reach beyond what it's traditionally done to develop more innovative projects and ideas to move us forward into recycling. I'd like to introduce Matt Flechter. He's the Department of Environmental Quality's Market Development Specialist, to talk a little bit more about why the DEQ sees this as an important market development approach for the state. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Karen. This is Matt Flechter, the Market Development Specialist for the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. Happy to be here today. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how Recycle by Design fits into the Governor's Recycling Initiative that was announced in April of last year. We're moving on 5 separate pillars: leading by example, making sure that we have recycling rest areas in state parks and at state government. We're measuring and analyzing the data. That's how we know we have a 15% recycling rate, and we are working on a piece of measurement legislation, Senate Bill 507, that will be moving through the legislative process here shortly. We're working on increasing access and participation. So we've done that through some community pollution prevention grant dollars and supporting local infrastructure development and making partnerships with national organizations to support Michigan communities to grow local infrastructure. Working on education and outreach, making sure that people know how and why recycling is important. Something that's near and dear to my heart is the 5th pillar, which is market development, working to connect the supply chain so that valuable materials are making their way from the curb or the loading dock into new products manufactured in Michigan. How does Recycle by Design fit into that? This really is has a strong market development component because of the structure, as you'll learn about in the teams. The teams are being formed that have the various important parts of the supply chain, whether it's collection, processing, or end use. And each of those problems that the teams are going to be working on solving at the local level will focus on one of those 3 or all 3 of those components. So many of the teams that will be formed, you may have an idea about how to create a end-use market for a difficult-to-recycle material. But what you need is a diverse group of people to help you solve that from a business-driven solution. So making sure that the economics work for this recycling program or this idea, this design concept that you may have. It may be simply collection infrastructure or education, but at each of those points we need the public and private sector to work together to solve those problems. So Recycle by Design really has a strong market development component, and we're excited about moving it forward and launching it on November 2nd. With the hackathon, this will be, as you'll learn today, we'll have a creative approach to creating the new ideas and sharing those ideas across various teams. So it's an important first step to get your wheels turning and get thinking about what are some of the problems that Michigan faces and what are some of the potential solutions. So to learn more about that, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff George with IMG Rebel, the lead contractor with Recycle by Design. We're working as a team with Michigan Recycling Coalition, the Department of Environmental Quality, IMG Rebel, and Research Recycling Systems, all working together to to create Recycle by Design with private and public sector partners. So here, I will hand it off to Jeff George. Yeah, Jeff.
Thanks, Matt, and I certainly appreciate joining this webinar this morning. I think we've got a lot of exciting things to talk about. First thing I'd like to do is just a quick acknowledgement of our partners in Recycle by Design, and just, again, thanks to Matt and his team at DEQ, and Karen and her team at MRC, as well as the RRS group. And for those of you, I think many of you on the line here probably know RRS, a sustainability firm with national recognition and kind of a local focus based in Ann Arbor. So with that, what I'd like to do is just take a minute and give you an idea of who we are, IMG Rebel. We're based in Bethesda, Maryland. That's just outside of Washington, D.C. We've got about 20 years of experience in providing P3 infrastructure and project-focused financial advisory services. We have 5 main offices on 4 continents. Our main office, our headquarters, is in Rotterdam, Netherlands. We also have offices in Antwerp, Belgium, Manila, the Philippines, Johannesburg, South Africa, and again, our office in Washington, D.C. And waste and recycling is really a key sector of focus for us as we integrate communities, regions, states, and even at national level into a more circular economy. I think many of you have probably either seen this slide or are certainly familiar with the information. Michigan has fallen significantly behind other states in its recycling performance, with a recycling rate of just under 15%. It currently ranks among the lowest performing states in the Great Lakes, and I doubt that is news to most of you, again, on the call here. What is important is in April 2014, Governor Snyder formed the Governor's Recycling Council and announced a statewide recycling initiative to double the state's recycling rate to 30%. And what's probably more important is that is being done over a 2-year period. We saw that as an opportunity. We, in May of 2014, reached out to NDEQ and MRC and kind of knocked on the door and said, well, how are you guys going to double your recycling rate? And what's the plan? We didn't get a clear answer, and I think both Karen and Matt have heard us say over and over again, well, if you've always done if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've already got. And that's kind of been our mantra from day one. We need to do something different. We need to do something innovative. And in order to achieve such a dramatic change in this short period of time, it really requires a positive, disruptive change to the status quo. And so we thought to ourselves, what approach will provide for the most robust recycling infrastructure that's going to support continued and market growth in such a short period of time? And we basically spoke with both MRC and DEQ, and really there's 2 approaches. You've got 2 choices to growing your infrastructure. The first is a more traditional top-down approach, which is driven primarily by the public sector. And I think many of you are familiar with that, where specifications are developed based on what the public sector believes it needs. And then the private sector responds within the parameters of rather structured bid documents. You know, the other approach, and it's the approach that we prefer, is a more grassroots bottom-up approach, where very early on in the public sector works together with the private sector to collectively develop an approach on community need, private sector deliverability, and overall value for money. And this is really a foundation for building strong public-private partnerships. And Michigan needs an approach that fosters P3 solutions through innovation and collaboration. And the foundation of this is really engaging the public and private stakeholders through strong partnerships. And Recycle by Design will deliver this. Recycle by Design is a 12-month challenge, and I'll get into a little bit of the logistics of that in a couple of slides. But it's designed to facilitate more innovative ways of thinking and approaching to the waste and recycling value chain within the state of Michigan. Recycle by Design is also going to build new partnerships that not only focus on new infrastructure development, but as Matt said, also on strengthening existing and developing new end markets for recycled materials. And I think this is, a really important piece of Recycle by Design, because without strong end markets, you can do all the recycling that you can achieve, but if there's nowhere to take those materials, ultimately the system's going to fail. So Rebuild by Design will also bring together teams from across the state, and it's going to give them access to both technical and financial tools and resources that's going to allow them to grow outside the box concepts into solid business-driven proposals. And we'll get into a little bit more of that when Jessica talks about the hackathon. Well, what I wanted to do is just give you a little bit of background here. Recycle by Design is built on a proven foundation In the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, which many of you know, I guess it was Halloween of 2011 actually, Hurricane Superstorm Sandy came through the Metro New York area and completely devastated the majority of the coastline along New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, as long as the Thousand Islands. Billions of dollars were going to be required to rebuild the infrastructure, and it was completely wiped out by the superstorm. That's where the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development stepped in and quickly realized that this infrastructure cannot simply be replaced with what was already there. And if you think back to the quote that I mentioned earlier, you need to come up with something new, because if you just do the same thing over again, you're going to get the same thing that you already had. So the region really needed to focus on resiliency to be prepared for the inevitable reality that another superstorm was going to come through. So HUD reached out to the Dutch Ministry of Environment for help and advice. Who better knows how to coexist with the low-lying coastlands than the Netherlands? And in 2012, Rebuild by Design arose out of that U.S.-Dutch partnership, and IMG Rebel has been a part of that process. 148 teams initially entered the challenge. 10 conceptual projects were selected, and 6 proposals are now currently being implemented. So through the Recycle by Design, if we go back to the challenge that we have here, Recycle by Design is really going to serve as a nucleus. We're delivering innovative proposals that contribute to the overall recycling rate here in the state. However, the benefits extend far beyond just moving the needle on the recycling rate. Recycle by Design is going to focus on the value of recycling and integration management, and not just on the cost. It's also going to generate functionally integrated systems on a local and regional scale, as opposed to one-off propositions. The key here is to look at the state and all of its regions and really generate a network of projects that collectively are going to take that recycling rate into the 30%. Recycle by Design is also it's going to reach out to the larger community. It's going to have access to innovative funding and financing solutions for these infrastructure solutions. It's also going to serve as a linchpin to connect economic and environmental policy goals, and creating new job opportunities, and also allowing for cleaner Michigan communities. And it's really going to change the conversation. It's going to change the conversation at the local, regional, and state level on how to implement effective recycling. And these are all critical components of building a more resilient recycling infrastructure, which is what is needed here in the state of Michigan. So while Recycle by Design is intended and designed to be an open, creative process for generating ideas, there are some parameters in order to go through the challenge process. And we have 4 parameters. First, the implementation of a proposal has to contribute significantly to the increase in the state's recycling rate. I mean, I think that's kind of a foundation of this whole program. Secondly, the participating teams need to present a solid business case, and working together with Recycle by Design technical and financial advisors, will have to be in a position to demonstrate that they have the ability to arrange project financing, and that's through private financing and or public-private partnership funding. Third, the participating team obviously has to have the willingness and capability to implement its proposal. We need to know that these proposals coming in are serious. And the fourth, and probably one of the most important from our perspective, is that each one of the proposals going through the challenge have to demonstrate local participation in the design proposal. Because this is a bottom-up approach, we strongly believe that the local community must have buy-in on each of the proposals as they go through, because that'll ensure that there's long-term viability to the project itself. What I want to do now is just take a couple of minutes and quickly run through the timeline. As you can see here, we're kicking off the challenge. We've been for about the last 4 months, actually since we kicked off Recycle by Design at the Governor's Recycling Summit in Kalamazoo in early May. And since that time, we've been in what we call a planning and preparation phase, getting ready to kick off the challenge. And we're now November 2nd. I think Matt mentioned that, both Matt and Karen. Kicking off the challenge on November 2nd, which is essentially 2 weeks away. The first stage of the challenge is what we call the team development. And during this phase, teams will begin to form. We'll be holding networking sessions, Q&A sessions, opportunities for both the public side and the private side to have opportunities to get together, to meet, to discuss where their ideas are, where their ideas mesh, how they can come together as teams. And the end result of this first stage is essentially a 10 to 12 page conceptual proposal. What we don't want in the first stage is to get teams bogged down in a lot of data and detail. What we want is a lot of, again, out of the box innovative thinking. And that's part of what the hackathon is going to help facilitate, that Jessica is going to talk about in a couple of minutes. Once we go through the first stage, which is the end of January 2016, we'll then go into the second stage, and we will take those 10 to 12 page proposals. The expectation is that we will probably narrow those proposals down to a handful, probably 12 to 15 proposals that really show merit. And they will go into the second stage of the challenge, and we call that the research and community engagement stage. This is where you begin to get access to more data. We will put up an electronic data room that is full of all sorts of state data, recycling data, solid waste data within the state, as well as a number of other pieces of information. But this is where you really begin to start to put nuts and bolts onto your proposal. But here you also begin to engage with the community, again, which is an important piece, as I've said before. From the second stage, we then go into a third stage. In all likelihood, depending on the quality of the proposals, they all may go on to the third stage, or there may be a further narrowing down. Again, based on the parameters, the 4 parameters that I identified earlier. But here, we begin to get into much more detailed discussions in terms of technical support and for detailed design development, in terms of financeability of projects. Again, the teams will have access to technical advisors, financial advisors, to really put a robust proposal together at the end of stage 3. And I should mention that in stages 2 and 3, there will be some level of funding available to each of the teams in that stage. That level is not determined at this point, but again, the money that goes into those teams is there to support the internal costs of the teams as they go through the second and third stage. Coming out of the third stage, we expect probably somewhere in the range of 5 to 7 of the most promising projects, and those will move to implementation. And then we get into the fourth stage, which is actually putting a shovel to the ground and getting those projects fully financed, getting them constructed, and again, moving the needle on the recycling rate here in the state. Just want to reemphasize that there is no single winner in this. The challenge is not about identifying a single winner. It's about encouraging multiple ideas at the local level, initiating partnerships across the value chain, and really coming down to selecting the most resilient and applicable solutions that collectively contribute to the recycling rate here. We've spent a lot of time over the last few months together with our partner RRS in constructing a very sophisticated financial model on the waste value chain here in Michigan. One of the outcomes of that model is that we anticipate somewhere in the range of $210 to $260 million is needed to double that recycling rate. And we believe that Recycle by Design provides a framework to unlock this investment potential. So we see really Recycle by Design as the hub, and there will be core projects coming out of here, but there will be a lot of spoke projects coming out, some that will have gone through various stages of the challenge and not perhaps made it all the way through, but still solid projects that can access financing. But collectively, with this level of investment, we believe that the needle can go to 30% and beyond. Just kind of in wrapping things up here, a couple of contact details. You'll continue to get a lot of information over the next couple of weeks and certainly months as we get into this. We do have a website, recyclebydesign.com. We've got a Twitter handle, which you can see here. We're also getting a Facebook page up that should be up hopefully next week. A little bit of contact information here. You can reach out to Karen. You can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Matt certainly as questions come up. But we really look forward to seeing you all as we kick this off on November 2nd, and hopefully all of you will be at the hackathon on November 5th. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Karen, who will introduce Jessica and the hackathon. Thanks.
Hi, so thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that explanation. I wanted to take a moment before I introduce Jessica to talk a little bit about what the MRC sees as value in the Recycle by Design Team Challenge. When the idea was brought to us, we were really excited because it is a different approach to building infrastructure, to generating private sector investment in infrastructure. And through this accelerated and incentivized process, we are really bringing projects to the fore and moving them through a process where they'll get some financial assistance, but also some technical expertise and assistance in helping to develop very solid business plans for the implementation of the eventual project. So we're getting international experience and advice on really how we develop a good system here in Michigan. It's my hope that the Michigan public sector partners here, lots of MRC members, shine a bright light on the challenges and the needs in Michigan and bring ideas that have been latent and in the background for much time to the fore. So, and then the private sector partners, again, a lot of MRC members, then can see, what the needs are, can, help us understand what the real needs for a good business proposal are, but that there is this approach and this way that we now have to move successful projects through to fruition. We're really excited about that. And when I explained about the potential Recycle by Design has for Michigan to a group of policy advisors at the state level, Jessica Villarreal, who works for Consumers Energy, grabbed onto that idea and really presented her idea of the hackathon to us. Consumers Energy is developing an innovation center of their own and really use these innovation style work sessions to make their company better. And we think the application of the hackathon and innovative kind of a brainstorming will help Michigan recyclers really begin to think outside of the box and see challenges for what they are and bring new solutions in developing partnerships to really address those challenges. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jessica Villarreal with Consumers Energy.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you so much for having me and allowing me to help out with this. I'm very, very excited about this hackathon and Recycle by Design. And first off, can everyone see my screen? I was kind of getting a little, hopefully we can. So we'll just move on as if we can. But yes, my name is Jessica Villarreal, and I actually work for Consumers Energy, and I'm responsible for all of our environmental sustainability efforts. However, just about a year ago now, I had the opportunity to serve on a newly formed innovation core team for the company. So what this is a team that gets together a couple times a month to pitch ideas that they get. And this can be anything across the company, anything that we believe can provide some type of business value. We can come up with an idea pitch and present it. And I'm actually going to go over what an idea pitch looks like a little bit later, kind of as some pre-work for our hackathon that I would strongly encourage everyone who's interested to do, just so that we kind of start thinking in the right mindset of how to think outside the box, how to think innovatively. I will also warn everyone, typical hackathons usually are 2 to 3 days long, and we are going to push ours into 1 day. So I do believe this will be a bit of a challenge, but nowhere near impossible. So with that, I would like to start off with what a hackathon is. Some of you might have some idea, thinking maybe it's about IT, or maybe some of you have no idea what I'm talking about at all. But essentially, and the simplest way to explain it is that a hackathon is an organized brainstorm. So essentially, very organized and very strategic, stepping individuals through how to think innovatively outside the box about a particular problem, situations, different opportunities. And as Karen mentioned, I was thinking, too, when I was learning about Recycle by Design, wow, this sounds like really a great opportunity to think more outside the box, to think innovatively, but it might be a bit of a struggle. I think Jeff mentioned, if we try to address problems the same way we've always have, we're going to get the same solutions out of it. And how do we really get to the point where we think differently than we've ever done before? And how do we really reach out to others and form partnerships that will allow us to achieve what we can think of when we think more innovatively? And that's really what the purpose of a hackathon is. So on the next slide, which hopefully you all can see, you'll see a little description. A hackathon will set you loose to come up with opportunities on your own, but don't worry, this will be guided and we will have facilitators. Groups will be formed of about 6, maybe 8 max individuals that will have certain topics to work on, and every group will have a facilitator help you. So don't worry, don't feel overwhelmed. You don't really have to have any sense technically of what a hackathon is to be able to participate. We will help you. When our hackathon is, this is going to be November 5th, just as a reminder, and it'll be all-day event from 8 to 5. It'll be a very packed event. You will be thinking, by the time you're done, you will have no more thoughts in your mind that you did not give, so it'll be great. And then where? This will be at Aquinas College in the Leggy Ballroom in Grand Rapids. And in terms of what to bring, your ideas, your questions, your energy, creativity, vision, and enthusiasm. That's what we're really looking for. We want to bring you out of the typical normal day, your normal thought process. We really want to challenge you to think differently about things. And that's really our intent. Before I get into maybe an overview of the agenda, I do kind of want to address, why would you want to go to this? And there's a few different reasons. Obviously, as we've addressed, if you're interested at all in Recycle by Design, you have ideas in your mind, you don't really know who to talk to about them, how to really get them out there, this is a perfect platform to really share those ideas, and in addition, network and make partners, and potentially even make a team there at the hackathon, or come up with a great idea that perhaps, you don't know how to influence, or maybe you don't even want to be a part of, but at least we can capture that idea and bring it forward. And also, even if, to be honest, I think that participating in a hackathon really is just a benefit in and of itself. It provides you with a great experience, personal and professional, to be able to just think differently about things, to think more innovatively. So I would strongly recommend this even as something that you could even put on your resume, for instance. And really, if you do have any, and a lot of people, I'm assuming, that are participants of the MRC, have a strong desire to see recycling succeed, have a strong desire to see Michigan's future succeed. And really, you can be an integral part of coming up with new and creative ideas for this to happen. So overall, I think it'll be a very valuable day, and I encourage everyone to participate. So next up, I'm just going to briefly go over our agenda. After we have our keynote speaker and discuss the different objectives and activities, we will be doing some team sharing. So right after I discuss this agenda, I'm actually going to go into just an example of what an idea pitch looks like. And with any hope, some of you will have worked on one if you do have a great idea in mind or want to think of one, and actually bring it to the hackathon to share with your team initially during this session. At a minimum, our facilitators will have an idea pitch that they will walk through with the team. And again, this is really to help start you thinking more innovatively, but also in terms of like how do I really pitch a new idea? How can I capture everything I need to convince someone that this truly is a good idea? Next, how we're going to really start brainstorming is we're going to look to the future to inform our present efforts currently. So we're going to have different future scenarios that your team will be assigned to. Each scenario will be some type of like 100, 200 years out in the future. For instance, what does recycling look like then? We're going to then define what are the challenges in that future, as well as what is actually wanted. What do consumers actually want here, and are they being addressed? So this is where we get kind of crazy, right? And this is the whole facilitated brainstorm, and there's strategy behind this. So once you have an idea of what could possibly happen in the future, we do something called backcasting. Backcasting is more of, it's a term that's usually used in the innovation industry. But basically what it means is you're taking steps back from the future until today. What could have possibly happened for that future to occur? And from those steps, we can understand what our opportunities are today to potentially achieve them. So again, it's trying to make our brains think differently in order to come up with new innovative ideas today that either A, haven't happened at all anywhere, or B, have happened in other states or perhaps communities, but not within Michigan or our own community. And then next we take all of our new thinking and we do a flash round. So a flash round is just as it sounds, we sit down with our group and we come up with as many ideas as possible within the allotted time. Again, we're not looking for quality, we just want quantity at this point. In fact, we could even play a game where the winner has the longest list, because that's what we're looking for right now. And we're going to do that twice because we want to make sure that we have all of your ideas. And after we captured all of your ideas is when we actually start to sort these ideas and then also come up with what are our top maybe 3 to 5 best ideas that we can make sure that we capture effectively, and then pitch these ideas to the group. So at the end of the day, what we're really hoping to achieve through this hackathon is to have a list of solid ideas that really we can take and go forward with, whether that's reaching out to different organizations to help create a partnership to submit these proposals for the Recycle by Design competition, or perhaps have individuals themselves carry that through. So that is what we're looking for, and at the end we will also talk about the next steps. So before I move on actually to my idea, I don't know if there's any questions currently. I'm going to present what an idea pitch will look like. Again, this is a template that I'm hoping that you guys will think about if you're interested in participating in the hackathon, and fill out just a quick one of your own. This might look a little overwhelming, but really it should only take you 20 minutes to run through and quickly fill out. But are there any questions first about the hackathon setup itself? Okay, I don't think so. All right, so we'll move in to the next slide. And actually, right before I do talk about the actual the idea pitch, I did want to go over some example themes for the hackathon. Like I mentioned, you will be put into different tables with different scenarios. You'll actually be giving 2 scenarios over the course of this hackathon, as you'll be doing 2 flash rounds to come up with ideas. So some ideas, of course, would be around recycling, strictly recycling, composting, product designs, perhaps waste collection, waste education. These are just a few examples of what you'll expect to see and have to think around in order to generate ideas. And then here's the idea pitch. So at a high level, you'll create a summary, a description of the demand, the design, value, consideration for the community, and then, of course, any outstanding questions or assumptions. So again, when you go through this, it should really only take you 10 minutes. I did one in a PowerPoint, and I took a very simple concept, I'm sure very complex to do, but something to make you think, wow, okay, I get it, like, this is something pretty crazy, and this is how I would walk through pitching an idea for it. So the idea that I chose to give you guys an example is a drone waste collection. So on the first page, you'll see my crazy idea that I did in paint with drones carrying waste collectors. So our opportunity name would be the drone waste collection, and we have images to show what it is. Our summary, continued, is an opportunity or story description. So it's something as simple as just saying, imagining a world where there's no longer used to use large trucks to pick up waste. Instead, drones would collect the waste from residential customers and deliver it to an appropriate facility. And then it's also nice to mention what your inspiration is. So something that I put for my inspiration is the consumer's energy drone named Quimby that actually came out of our own hackathon that we had, I think, maybe it was last year, year and a half ago or so, because Consumers Energy does hackathons now on an annual basis. And one thing that came up was using a drone so that it would be more safe to inspect lines and do numerous other things. And actually we're one of the first, if not the first utilities to implement a drone to do this type of work. So that was wonderful. Demand. It's important to think about who cares. Well, customers would care about this. Waste management companies would care about this. Community leaders, haulers, drone companies, and regulators. And why do they care? Well, safety, efficiency, and it opens up new markets for perhaps creating these drones and jobs in Michigan. Continued demand. How much do they care? So are there studies about this? What are the costs? Are there increased safety incidents associated with these trucks? Would it create jobs? Would it create additional revenue within our economy? And then, of course, thinking about workarounds. Currently, we do not, I'm assuming a lot of waste management companies don't have connections necessarily with these IT companies that create drones. So there would have to be some type of partnership established for this to occur. Market demand. So here's where you would look at different studies, perhaps on the perception of drones and how customers view them. Also perhaps studies on truck health and safety incidents, and the economics of trucks picking up waste in a certain area versus a drone taking on that responsibility. Offerings. Drones could be assigned to different areas. Each household could have their own personal drone perhaps, or there could be a neighborhood drone. And then the business model. So we could, perhaps a company could work in partnerships with a IT drone company to create these and perhaps sell them either to the customers or own them still and have there be some type of rental fee, and they would be either flown to and from the house, and they would be responsible for maintaining these units. And then value. Does this offer community value? So are there safety value, their efficiency, customer satisfaction, jobs increased revenues from this business model? And then we have our largest unanswered or looming questions. How do Michigan residents feel about drones? How much, again, would this cost? How will we fund this? And how do we ensure that drones will be used appropriately? So this is just an example. Very quick, I know I'm throwing a lot of information at everyone, but again, I just wanted to step through it for your future reference. If you are deciding to go to the hackathon, I think it would be very beneficial to look back at this material. You will see a handout actually in your, I think right after this discussion, it'll be sent out. You'll just have this one sheet paper that walks you through these questions just to take a look at. Again, no more than 20 minutes is what you want to spend on something like this, just your high-level ideas to capture them. And again, it's going to help kind of train your brain to get ready for this hackathon. And I would encourage you, again, free work, if possible, to bring this to the hackathon with you. Like I said before, typical hackathons are usually 2 to 3 days. So usually, like at Consumers, we don't really assign pre-work, but since we have 2.5 to 3 days, to really focus and dig into this stuff, it's not really necessary. But I would encourage, it's not necessary to do, but I would strongly encourage you to take a look at this type of information. I think it'll very much so benefit you. So I'm really looking forward to this hackathon. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to do a lot of good in terms of, informing Recycle by Design. And if there are any questions at this time, I will take them. Otherwise, you can always give me an email at jessicaspangle@cmsenergy.com. So thank you, and if there's any questions, I can take them now.
Yeah, Jessica, thank you for that excellent presentation about what the hackathon is. I think I'd like to say something before we turn it over to questions. I am personally and professionally very excited about the hackathon because I think that the process itself will help inform, how I think about the problems that, I encounter on a daily basis. And so, it is not, the hackathon is an event that will help to inform Recycle by Design. Certainly you do not have to have a team established. You can be a part of this great brainstorming and innovation building event without necessarily having a connection to Recycle by Design, but the event will also help you better understand what we are trying to accomplish with Recycle by Design and how it can help you form your ideas and really crystallize them so that you can see their end. As you can see, as more and more people hear about this idea, we are attracting a lot of attention. Aquinas College is very interested, is hosting us, and we will be probably using students and maybe some faculty to help us facilitate those discussions. So it's igniting the imagination of a lot of people. We very much appreciate Consumers Energy stepping up to the plate and sharing this idea with us because we think it's got a lot of value to help us develop those concepts that we can bring to fruition through Recycle by Design. So there's a lot of organizations that are now involved in making Recycle by Design success, and we need everybody's help on the phone, honestly, to bring more people into the circle. If you know of entrepreneurs, if you know of private sector companies that are interested or could be interested and have something to offer in this forum, the hackathon is the first forum of Recycle by Design, and so it will help all of us to better understand what it is we can do together and who the players will be. So given that, I'm going to turn our conversation over to Katie Fahey, who will field your questions. If we don't have many questions, we can continue to provide more information. Please do register for the hackathon. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us. But Katie, take it away.
Great, thank you, and thank you to all of our presenters. I think it was very informative and offers a great vision of what really this process is about and how we can all come together to create a better Michigan, especially for recycling. All right, so one of a question that we got repeated in a couple different ways was, who should be participating in Recycle by Design? Can you elaborate on what types of businesses, organizations, and communities should be there?
Yeah, thanks, Katie. This is Jeff. Certainly in the early stages, stage one, we invite, pretty much everybody. This is an open challenge. The idea is to create as many innovative ideas as we can, and we need to have those coming from all different sources. We need to have it coming from the public sector. And by the public sector, we can be talking about small communities, we can be talking about counties, we can be talking about regional waste authorities. We want the private sector involved, obviously, and that can be, waste companies, haulers, it can be technology suppliers. There's a multitude of opportunities here to participate. So it's really a wide open field at this point in time.
Great, thank you. This next question is a little bit more about the hackathon. We are from northern Michigan. We have limited recycling up here. I currently run a small nonprofit organization at this time that only recycles paper and cardboard. We'd like to expand our recycling program. Would this at all be beneficial for us to attend the hackathon, or is this only for creating innovative thinking on how to increase recycling for Michigan overall?
I personally think, and others might have more insight to this, that it would be. I think beyond just trying to come up with these large-scale ideas, I think that it's to capture, any small idea, even if it's a good idea, I would hope that there is a way to implement it, even if it is on a smaller scale. And even for the fact of networking, I mean, this is going to be, networking that even goes beyond networking, and it's thinking, more outside the box, more innovatively. I do think there is opportunity, for everyone to get something out of this hackathon. So I would say yes. I think you get out of it what you really put into it. So I do think there would be an opportunity there. Or if anyone has additional thoughts on that.
Sure, this is Matt. I'm going to be a little bit more definitive than Jessica. The answer is yes. Of course you should come to this. That's where you're going to be able to brainstorm different ideas to find innovative solutions for these very simple problems. Growing your recycling program to include additional materials has many potential possibilities where you will be able to interact with other people around Michigan to come up with those ideas. And you know what? Your idea might be pretty simple and basic. It doesn't have to be a recycling drone to get somewhere to be able to be shared with other communities. So absolutely, the simple solutions are probably going to move the needle even more than these big, giant, crazy solutions, because what we really need are communities and private businesses and haulers and recycling processors and end-use manufacturers to come up with solutions that are uniquely theirs, that are going to support the growth of recycling at the local level, and then in aggregate, all of those little things like adding additional materials to the small recycling program will add up to doubling our recycling rate. So the answer is yes. Please come.
Yeah, and this is Jeff. I just wanted to add one more thing. I mean, the whole foundation of Recycle by Design is partnerships. And, even if you're a small community and you have, what you believe to be a small idea, you put that into a room of a lot of innovative thinkers, and that small idea may suddenly blossom through other people who you're interacting with to form into something that ultimately develops a larger partnerships and allows you to take that project to the point where, it becomes economically and technically attractive. So, yeah. To reemphasize Karen and Matt, yeah, for sure.
Great, thank you guys. I did want to mention too, Jessica briefly highlighted those themes that will be going on during the hackathon, and spoiler alert, one of them is going to focus around rural and low population areas. So we will have some specific brainstorming around that issue in particular. All right, so I think this was pretty much alluded to, but we did get a couple questions on this as well. Will we need to form a team beforehand for Recycle by Design or for the hackathon, or is it okay if we just come solo? And I'll leave that open to whoever would like to answer it.
Thanks, Katie. This is Jeff again. Sorry, I had to take it off speaker here. By all means. Yes, come solo. I mean, I think it relates back to the earlier question. Again, this is all about just putting ideas out there, and as crazy as they may be, and as small as they may be. The whole, one of the underlying goals of the hackathon is networking, and there's certainly going to be an opportunity throughout the day to do networking, and we expect to actually hold some sort of a networking event as we close the hackathon. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to meet people, to discuss ideas, and you don't need to go into the competition or the challenge by any means with a preformed team. Again, we'll be having the hackathon. We'll probably be holding a couple of other events between now and the end of the year, where you'll have the opportunity to interact with people from around the state and through those interactions, if your idea has has strength, then it'll attract people, and ultimately you can use those people to collectively put together a team. So come.
Great, thank you. Here's another one related to the hackathon. If I'm not planning on participating at this time in Recycle by Design, should I still attend the hackathon? Is it appropriate for me to be there?
Yeah, and just to echo what Jeff just said, most definitely the hackathon could stand by itself as a tool to bring new solutions, innovative solutions to the challenges we face every day. The cool connection between the hackathon and Recycle by Design is Recycle by Design is the vehicle by which these concepts can run and be brought to fruition through these creative partnerships. So the hackathon itself, I think, is a great way to learn about innovative process and thought and how you can apply that to your own job now. But in that setting, you'll also be able to network with other people that have got big ideas. So it's really all about the listening to other people's ideas, the generating new ideas, and meeting and talking with people who may be able to help you, or you may be able to help them to bring these ideas to life.
Thank you, Karen. And we do have 2 more questions, so if you have any more that are burning in your mind, please send them now. But the next one was related to the hackathon as well. If I don't currently have any ideas, should I come?
Yes, absolutely. We will get ideas out of you, essentially. Everyone has really great ideas, whether they, have them pulled up yet or not. We will, again, it's a facilitated brainstorm. We will help walk you through getting these great ideas. In fact, in many cases, a lot of hackathons run on the assumption that everyone comes without any, ideas thought of originally at all. We will walk you through this process. So don't feel overwhelmed or anything like that. It will be very much so facilitated, and we will help you to come up with ideas, essentially. So yes, absolutely.
Great, thanks, Jessica. And then this one says, I heard something about the Recycle by Design kickoff on November 2nd. What is happening on November 2nd?
Thanks, Katie, and this is Jeff again. November 2nd is the official kickoff. There certainly will be a press release that announces the kickoff, and there will also be the issuance of what we call a call for innovation. And that call for innovation will be available on our website to download. We can also get it out by email if that's an easier means of delivery to folks. Just let us or Karen know. But that call for innovation is essentially a package that will, in greater detail, outline the specifics of Recycle by Design, kind of a, for lack of a better word, a rules and regulations section, and also some basic data. We'll also include in there what we're calling a jump kit, which are tools that will be used as part of getting into the competition itself. There'll be some level of data available, but just a pretty complete package to give those who are interested in participating in the challenge a deeper level of information to either make a decision whether they want to go into the challenge or not, and hopefully they do. And if they do, then they've got the tools to begin to enter into the stage 1, which again is the conceptual proposal stage.
Thank you, Jeff. We didn't get any other questions, but we are almost out of time. So I think I'll turn it over to Karen and then maybe the rest of the panelists on just if you have any other little tidbits or things that you'd like people to walk away with.
Again, I hope that you all got the sense that there's a lot of energy and interest behind Recycle by Design and the Michigan Recycling Innovation Hackathon. These are two really new ideas, new approaches to moving Michigan forward, and we think that they are going to be really important for anybody who's been involved in recycling in Michigan to be involved in. The hackathon, we need a lot of people to make this hackathon work. We've solicited Aquinas because they have the space necessary, so we anticipate 100 to 150 people, and honestly we need your help attracting those people. So bring colleagues, share rides, do what you got to do to be there. It's going to be, you know, this year's talk of the town, and you'll learn more about what Recycle by Design is and how you may be able to engage in that idea or no idea. Really, it is about creating partnerships to move you forward in your programming, in your businesses, with markets and that kind of thing. There's a lot of people involved in this. We can help you make those choices, but being at the hackathon, I think will give you the jump start that you need. So I do appreciate all of you being on this call today. Again, don't hesitate to reach out, and we look forward to seeing you on November 5th. Bye-bye.